The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning or good afternoon to everyone today. Thank you so much for joining us. We have WebConnect here, so I've got Andy and Doug on the line to do a presentation for you. As you know, Doug and Andy were sponsors for us at Connect last year, already confirmed them for Dallas this year, so I'm thrilled. Definitely have always been huge supporters of our user group, and I appreciate everything they do for us. And gosh, I've asked them so many questions, and they're always responding to my emails, and I think sometimes that's all they do. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here with us today. As everyone knows, I like to do a couple little slides just to kick our session off while everyone is still logging in. First of all, a big shout out to our user group officers, Sam, Brian, Mike, Patty, and Eric. If you're coming out to Insights at the end of this month, wow, that's sneaking up, take a moment to pull one of the officers aside and thank them for all the work that they've done. I have the privilege of working side by side with them every single day, virtually side by side with them every single day, and I can really tell you how much work they do put into this group on top of everything else, so they do deserve all your thanks. So if you're coming out, make sure that you pull them aside. As I mentioned, we have Connect 2014 coming up September 21st to 23rd. It's coming up fast. So we have been working on this since Connect 2013. We're thrilled to be hosting it in Dallas this year. The hospitality there is unbelievable. If you take a look at our Connect website, which you can access through the user group forum, top right-hand corner, you'll see this logo there. Just click on that. You'll see the information start to come through as we build it. We're hoping to get the grid built in the next 2 months and open registration for the summer. So keep an eye out for that. Of course, you'll get emails from me, reminders on this webinar about Connect. As for upcoming webinars, the great place to take a look for them is in the calendar area of the user group forum. That's a really quick bird's eye view to see which ones are coming up. We do have them every week up until Easter, and then we're taking a 2-week break for Easter and Insights, and then we'll be back again in May. So you'll see that there. We also have 1 week where we're doing 2 webinars because we just have so much content to cover, and we're trying to keep this interesting for everyone. As you know, my contact information has changed, and you'll see the information up on the screen. If you have any questions about the user group forum, about webinars, about Connect, about Insights, anything to do with the user group at all, please feel free to reach out. Either I will answer your question or I'll know who to put you in contact with to get your questions answered. So I'm going to pass the floor over to Andy, and while I do that, I'm just going to finish up about questions, which is how to ask questions for today's session. Some of you have already emailed some questions into me. That's fantastic, so feel free to email questions as they come up. Also, a great way to ask questions is to use the question box feature here in GoToWebinar, and we will take the questions as they become available. Andy, you should be good to take the screen now. You just have to, there we go. The other way to ask questions is if you're connected using your telephone or a dedicated headset with a microphone on it, you're more than welcome to ask your questions live, in which case you can just raise your hand and I will unmute you. Otherwise, if you're just using the speakers and microphone on your computer, it's best to type your question in, or we get feedback when I unmute you. Now, I'm not going to take up any more time. I know Andy and Doug pretty much have 60 minutes worth of content they're going to now cram into 55. But over to you, gentlemen.
Hey, well, hey, good morning or afternoon again to everyone. We'd really like to thank Cheryl and the users group for all the great work they do and letting us put on this webinar. We're really looking forward to this. Hold on, let me see if I can get there we go. Let's introduce ourselves real quick. My name is Andy Garrett, and I'm joined with my business partner, Doug Bliss. Together, we are the owners and developers of the WebConnect system. Hold on just one second. I just exited out, okay. And I'd like to say we're proud to be sponsors of the 2014 Connect conference in Dallas. So I look forward to seeing a lot of you guys there. I think it's a great time. We were there last year and saw a bunch of you, and since that time, the WebConnect system has undergone a lot of new features that we've added into the system. A lot of them from requests and advice and things from people out there at the last conference. We'd like to also announce that we are an EPCOR service partner, so there's our cool little EPCOR services partner logo. And that will be out at Insights this month, so any of you guys are going to be out there, we can't wait to run into you and talk to you about things then. All right, about this webinar, We're going to be spending a lot of time going over the remote sales order process and the overall sales process and funnel as it goes through the WebConnect system. And so within the remote order process, the big question is, why do organizations use the WebConnect remote order system? Well, there are several reasons. One of the first reasons is to provide outside sales staff the ability to accurately quote or get customer pricing without logging into the P21 system directly. If they want to create an additional layer of workflow in the sales process, so basically WebConnect will allow you to do things that may shut out some capabilities for people when they're not directly within the P21 system, and I'll show how all that works within the WebConnect system as we go through the demo. If they want to establish sales replenishment routes or /VMI, WebConnect will definitely facilitate that. A lot of our customers like to extend remote order capabilities to their customers beyond what B2B does. B2B is great, if you've got, the storefront and you want people to shop the shopping cart and, add things into it. WebConnect does it a little bit differently. It's more of a portal type process to where you can actually be more engaged to feel like they're more a part of your business processes there. If you want to reduce the workload of your inside sales staff, it's a great way to do that as well. Basically, anytime someone sends an order in through WebConnect into the P21 system, as opposed to calling it in or faxing it in or emailing it in or sending it in by Morse code, whatever it may be, you're taking away something that someone on the inside of your organization has to do to rekey that into P21. And finally, one of the biggest reasons that people use the WebConnect system now for remote order processing is to give themselves a competitive advantage. If you can offer this type of system to your customers, either through service, through vendor routes, you're going out there and actually ordering for your customers, or turning the system over to your customers directly, you're probably giving something to your customers that your competitors can't. So before we get too far, I'd like to say a little bit more about what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about the WebConnect remote order form and go over kind of some of the features within the remote order form. Just one second here.
Try the middle one.
The middle one? Okay. Dang, pop-up keeps getting me. We're going to show you one of the cool new features in the WebConnect remote order process. It's a one-click order. I think you're really going to like that. It makes creating a remote order ridiculously fast. We'll show you how we can import from file. So it's basically possible to take a remote order or some type of order information from a spreadsheet, convert that into a tab-delimited file, very simple format, pull that right into a remote order, and go. It's really neat. We'll also show you how you can order from our new order pad. It's kind of like the B2B quick order pad, but it has a couple of added features and some neat capabilities there that I think you'll like very much. We'll also go through a little bit of the remote order system for the per-user permissions. This will let you see how you can lock down users to be able to do certain things and other users allow them to do other things. We'll also try to cover the WebConnect quick order system. That's the second way of ordering within the WebConnect environment. It's basically a way that you can set up reusable order lists that you work with on a consistent basis, things that your customers buy on a repetitive basis without having to add them to an order all the time. Basically, you'll just have to add quantities. So we'll show building a quick order form, show you how to work with quick order templates, which are basically another way to rapidly build a quick order form, show you what the concept of a requisition-only form is within WebConnect, which is basically another way to implement workflow within the ordering world in WebConnect. So before we get started too much into the remote orders, I want to do a high-level overview of what WebConnect is. First and foremost, WebConnect is designed specifically for use for the P21 system. It's not a system that we built and then bolted into P21 or mapped data to try to make it fit. It grew from the ground up, working with actual real field P21 companies out there. So everything that's pretty much bottom one. Everything within the WebConnect system is written with P21 in mind. It offers sales rep mobilization tools. So if you're able to put your sales reps out in the field and give them as much information as possible, WebConnect is a great tool for that. They can use it on all kinds of devices and get out there and do what they need to do. It offers a full customer portal, a really valuable tool right there that allows your customers visibility inside the P21 system for their customer data, so they can see their orders, their quotes, their invoices, their aged receivables, their order history, and of course they can actually order from you directly from within the WebConnect customer portal. It definitely has remote ordering capabilities. We'll be going over a lot of those today. It offers CRM integration, so you can, within the WebConnect system, you can actually create live P21 tasks, opportunities. If you grant your sales reps permission, they can even create prospects within the system and edit and add contacts directly into the P21 system. The WebConnect software also adds a lot of features that are extensions to the P21 system. And these are things like there's a new Google integrated calendar. So basically you can have Google Calendar feeds that hit WebConnect, and then those are merged together with task due dates and opportunity next step dates, things like that. You can add as many of those in through the WebConnect system and share them around as you'd like to. There's also a social media component built within the WebConnect system so that users can make comments about orders, customers, quotes, whatever it may be, that allows communication to be fostered within the system. The WebConnect system runs on desktop, laptops, tablets, smartphones, pretty much anything with a modern web browser. So it's a web-based application, HTML5, ASP.NET. It utilizes Twitter Bootstrap, by the way, to give you what's called a responsive layout. So basically the same view that you would look at on a tablet or your laptop can be repainted on the fly for your smartphone. So I'll show you how part of that works as well. Oh, also wanted to mention, you might go check the website. We do have some free iOS and Android apps available out there, a customer and contact thing. You don't need to buy the WebConnect system. It doesn't rely on them at all. Just give us a call and we can get those set up for you, just as a way so you can see what we have to offer out there. WebConnect installs in your local environment. This is very important. It's not a hosted solution. So basically all of your data stays in your control. If you want to write reports that tie WebConnect remote order data to your P21 system that you generate for some type of internal executive reporting, you can darn sure do that. You want to write something for your accounting department that does the same, you can absolutely do that. You can tie into that WebConnect membership provider and pull data out of there as well. The bandwidth is not shared with multiple installs. That's really important because you end up with some of these larger hosted solutions out there. They're going to have to end up eventually scaling back what they can offer you, simply because if they've got 50 or 100 clients that are running off their same bandwidth and their same servers, they have to figure out a way to shrink that down. With this installing in your environment, you have a lot more control and a lot more freedom what you can do, and that gives us a lot more freedom of what we can offer you. When we install it in your environment, we can configure it and optimize it for your environment. There are a lot of settings within the WebConnect system that let us do some cool things with data caching and the way per-user permissions are set up by default and things along those lines that can make the system shine in your environment, including little things like putting your specific logo within the system and maybe changing the color scheme. So pretty neat stuff there. Data comes from your live P21 database. So when you're looking at customer information or contact information or ship-tos, all of that information is exactly what's in the P21 database at that time. We're not taking your ship-to and customer information, storing them locally, and then going and refreshing the data at night. We're not doing that with your order information or your invoices either. There's no resync that goes on. When we're pulling that information, it is live. The WebConnect system offers unlimited user accounts with no per-user fees. That means you can add all the administrative users you want, all the sales managers you want, all the sales reps, inside sales. It doesn't matter. That's part of the benefit of it being installed locally in your environment. We're not concerned with how many people are going to be using the system and taking up our bandwidth. This is something that we can open up to you without any additional charges. And the same thing goes for adding customer accounts. We have clients out there with literally hundreds of accounts set up in the WebConnect system, be them sales reps, sales managers, customers, whatever. They can add as many as they want. The WebConnect system offers multiple user roles, so we're talking administrative executive views into the data from your P21 system. sales manager views and interactions within the data, sales reps, inside sales / customer service. That way, when your sales reps or sales managers are out in the field and they're talking with inside sales, they can actually be looking at the same type of information, almost exactly the same thing within a consistent environment within Web Connect. And we, of course, offer customer logins. There's actually 4 sub-roles of customer logins, all the way from a customer administrator that can actually have the right to create their own logins to the Web Connect system, so they could grant new users access to their data within Web Connect without having to contact you and go through your back office. Now, all the way down to users in the Web Connect system that all they can do is place remote orders to you. So pretty powerful there as far as the users and the user roles. Before we go too deep into how the remote order system works inside Web Connect, and I show you the screens, I want to show some of you how the technical aspect of it works. Some of you will be interested in this. So basically, we have our Web Connect users, be they sales reps, customers, sales managers, inside sales service, executive users, whatever they are, and they're accessing the system through tablets, maybe their desktop, a smartphone, a laptop over here. And if they're going to place a remote order, they're probably going to be going to something like the Web Connect remote order form or a Web Connect quick order form, and I'll explain in more detail what these two things are as we get going. Those two forms call data from the live P21 database. So they're making live calls to find customer information, to find P21 pricing in real time, be they pricing libraries or contract pricing, last margin pricing, a multiplier pricing, whatever it may be. It's pulling it real time out of the P21 system. It also is able to see your inventory in real time. So you can see what your quantity on hand is, what's allocated, all that kind of stuff, costing information. Plus, of course, we're able to read the unit of measures and stuff like that, so you can actually build an order and change the unit of measure on an item if that's what you need to do. Once you build an order, you can send it through the Web Connect system to a place that is basically a storehouse for all the remote orders. It's that system that allows us to then create the export files that get sucked into the P21 Scheduled Import Service Manager. People that are familiar with the B2B system know what this is. So the Web Connect Remote Order Management System builds these import files, which are the order import header files and the line files and the note files, the things that we need in order to send it back into the P21 database. Importantly, the P21 Scheduled Import Service Manager process does all the validation for us again there. So at that point, it can catch anything like additional requirements that the order might need. It double checks pricing in some cases. All of the validation rules that are in P21 get checked here. From the P21 database, then we're able to create live P21 quotes and orders. So in a nutshell, that's the technical process of how the Web Connect remote ordering system works. So from here, I think I'm going to jump on over and get to the Web Connect system itself. So this is an administrative dashboard. This is what most people see when they log into the Web Connect system. Even if they're not an administrator, it's going to look something very similar to this. You're going to have a dashboard that's set up pretty much the way you want to set it up. You can change the thing if you want to. You can move stuff around. You can minimize things. You can edit the way that things work. For instance, here is an opportunity listing, and right now I've got success probability factored in. I can uncheck that box, and it just gives me the gross value of my opportunities. So each user basically has a dashboard like this that they can customize however they want. If they need to add more items to it, there's a catalog of different things and different options they can add to their own specific dashboard. If they want to close something out entirely off the dashboard, they can do this. It is possible, if you are an administrative user, to lock the dashboards down for your non-administrative users. So you could actually go through and set up your sales rep or sales manager dashboard the way you want them to be, and then turn off the ability for your sales reps or sales managers to edit these things. So you do have a lot of control over how this stuff works. Lots of neat views on here. On down here, this is some of our social media components. These are things that are outside of P21 that we handle within the Web Connect environment. Like here's some bookmarks. So a lot of information that you can put on this main dashboard so that every time you log into the system, you kind of get a bird's eye view of what's going on right now. In order to start a remote order, I think I'm going to go ahead and do one in absolutely the fastest way I know. So I'm going to go to Order History, and I'm going to look at all of the orders for, it looks like a time frame up here of about a month. And I'm going to scan down through here. I'm going to go ahead and select this one, this Three Waters guy right here. It's a pretty big order. So this is a nice $17,000 order. And you can see this is an order details as it's put into the Web Connect system. It's a representation of what's actually in the P21 for a live P21 order right now. I get a lot of the information that you would think you would should be able to see, like here's the customer ID and the customer name, what the order date is, the PO number, who the order taker was. In this case, it was somebody named David. The date last modified, who the contact is on the order. Here's the ship to information. We can see some delivery instructions. We can see if it's completed or not. And we can see all the line items on the order, including, we can see the costing, the extended price. We can see what's allocated. If this were back ordered or something like that, you'd see that in the disposition column, and you'd see that the line item is highlighted. You can also find some more information about each one of these order items by looking at some of these pop-up boxes. For instance, here's the inventory information about this. We have 3.33 of these guys on hand, a standard cost of 2.55, that kind of thing. If it turns out that it's been bought by the customer before, we can look at the item order history. In this case, this item absolutely has been bought by this customer before. So we can see, how much they buy, what it's bought, and all of that fun stuff. So very nice. If it happens to be an assembly, you can, now, and this is, you can see the, or a release, you can see the release schedule for this item. So cool, that's a release. If it's got any kind of open PO, even if it's not directly associated with this order, you can see that PO information. And yes, we actually have a couple of POs available or open for this inventory item. And if it did happen to be an assembly, which I don't think this is yet, no, it doesn't have any components in it. It's a drum of something. So anyway, so here are all the items for this order. And let's imagine for a minute that the customer has called me up and say, hey, this $17,000 order I've got out here, I'd like to see a quote with that on there plus about 5 more items. And you say, okay, how can I do that? Well, if I go to the order details in Web Connect, I'm a sales rep, I'm out in the field, I can just click this button right here, copy to remote order. When I do that, it'll pop up to confirm to see if I want to do that. I say okay. And it generates a new remote order in Web Connect. This is the Web Connect remote order form. This is the more powerful version of remote ordering within the system. There are a lot of features and functions within this form. And you can see it brought every one of the items over from the copy from order. So I've got them all sitting right here. If I want to, I can edit items. I can change units of measure. I can view that item history and stuff again directly from the remote order form. I see that I've selected this customer's Three Waters. The ship to is pre-selected for me. Even the contact that was on the original order is on this contact right here. If I want to, though, I can change the contact to this Joe person right here. That's fine. The PO number came over with it. If I want to, I can edit that because it's probably not going to be a PO yet on this. I can change this to a quote quickly so that when it's imported back into P21, it's going to be imported as a quote. It didn't have a contract on it, and it looks like this guy doesn't have any contract set up for him. The carrier from the original order came over, but if I want to, I can change the carrier to whatever I might want it to be. In this case, this is going to be a quote. I think I'm just going to put it as not selected. If I want to, I can say whether or not it's going to be approved or not, but that's, I'm going to show you something here in a few minutes which can lock that out. If I want to at this point, I can actually go ahead and add another item to this guy. Since I've made it a quote, I'm just going to go out and search for something real quick. I can easily type DA, so that's what I usually search for. I'm going to grab this little DAQ6. And I see my item information down at the bottom here. So I'm able to see all of the information about the item, including its unit price that's pulled directly from the P21 system. I see if it's got any, no, it doesn't have a unit of measure other than each, but I can go ahead and change the quantity order here to 10 quickly. Hit the Save button, and it's added to the new remote quote. Notice the bottom number changed, and also my little reminder up here, the total value of the order has changed. So it's a quick way to go ahead and start adding items. I can add as many items to this thing as I want to now, so I want to add another DAD1, add another 15 of those, See if it's got no. It's going to recalc the pricing, add it on in, and I'm ready to go. So that is basically how you would create an order really quick from an existing order. You can do more fun stuff with it. You can add more contacts to it if you want to. All kind of neat things you can do from here. I think what I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start a brand new remote order so you can see how the process works if you were just starting from scratch. So to do that, I go to the remote order form, and it's going to be a blank form right here. And if I want to, I think I can go ahead and search for a customer just to show you how the search process works. So in this case, I'm going to search for, I'm going to search for 123 Warehousing. I know they're in here somewhere. So here they are. I can select them, then I can select ship to. So I'll just grab one for fun right now. I'm going to grab a contact. Here are all the contacts for 123 Warehousing. Let's grab this Kathy Mings real fast. And I go ahead and add an order to, or an item to it, just like I did last time, a DA item. So I search and I find my DAQ6. Pricing came back at $170.50 again, so they must have the same pricing as the other guys. And add the item on into the order. That's, you can go through and build this order one item at a time if you want to. And a lot of times that may be what you need to do. But there are actually some much faster ways to add items into this order. So I'm going to show you a couple of those real quick. Let's go over here to contracts and see, yeah, this guy has some contracts associated with him. So here's a main contract for this customer. And here are all the items on the contract called Braun PPG. If I want to, I can add any item I want to off the contract directly to this order just by simply clicking check boxes. If I actually want to put a quantity on here, I can. So 3, 5, then I don't need to click the checkbox. And then if I want, all I have to do is hit Add Selected Items. The WebConnect system will go through each one of them and start figuring out what the quantities and pricing on things are. And it'll tell me that it added these new 8 items. And notice that the up here. So if I go back to my order details at this point, I've got the new 8 items added. But I may want to do some editing right here and change this guy from a roll to a case, save that guy right here, and away we go. This guy right here, I don't like the profit percent at 9.81. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to change this to a $700 price. And I'll show you here in a few minutes, but it's actually possible to lock out the ability to even change prices for each individual user within the system. So if you've got sales reps out in the field and you say, we want our pricing to be exactly what's returned in P21 before it goes into the system, you can lock out that capability if you want to. So that's how you would add items from contracts. But another way you can add items quickly to a remote order is go to the customer sales history. So this is just a listing of all the items that the customer buys most frequently in a descending order. So just like with contracts, I can just go simply select check boxes if I want to, or I can put in an actual quantity. So here's 15 of these guys right here. So I can add the selected items here again. It tells me I've added the new 3 items. My order is now up to $22,000. I'm liking that pretty well. And I've got several more items on here. Oh yeah, that's a nice item. This $1,000 item, and I guess I ordered 15 of them. I like that very much. So cool. That's how you would go about doing that. One final way that you can add items to this order very rapidly is you can actually import items to this order from a file, almost kind of like you would import an order into P21 through like the B2B process. What we've done is created a very, very simple way for you to bring those into a remote order where you don't have to define the header information, and we take care of looking up a lot of the other information from a line item. And the way you do that is you go over to this Import tab, and you go out and you try to find a file. But before you do that, I'm going to show you real quick the help file for the import process. So here's all we really need. In fact, the only one you really need is the item ID, but we can also take unit quantity and unit of measure. So if you know the item that you're trying to order, how many of them you want to order in unit of measure, those are the 3 fields that we bring into the system right now. So I'll show you how this works real quick. I'll go ahead and search for a file real quick. So I think I've got one over here downloaded on my C drive. Go to Test, go to my imports way down here at the bottom, And I've got one right now. I think I'm going to go ahead and show you what happens if I bring in one that's got an invalid item. So I've got this test file written out here that has not only some valid item IDs, but some invalid items. I've searched, I found the file, I click the upload, it's going to think about it, it's going to bring these items back into a grid. So every one of the items that pass validation, meaning that it's really an item ID in P21, and it has a real quantity and a real unit of measure that lines up with that item, passes validation, and I can now add them to the remote order. This guy down here in this file, I added a BB to the end of the valid item ID, so it failed validation, and this XX failed validation as well. Show you real quick also on that. Here's one with a whole bunch of invalid stuff in it. So if I got to upload this guy, yeah, at this point the first line was actually a header file that told me who the customer was, so it can't recognize the item ID. The second line was blank, so it recognized it's a blank. This third line down here had a 1X as the unit quantity, so it doesn't like that either. And the unit of measure also was bad, so that BV evidently is not a valid unit of measure. But for right now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to grab a totally valid one. So we grab a valid guy. If I want to, I can uncheck any of these items that I want to before I do the import process. I'll just leave it checked. Click the Add Selected Items. It tells me that it added another 8 rows. Total of my order has gone up to 24,893, and I've got another 8 items on this order if I want. Again, I can still come through here and edit this if I want to move that back to a case. I can do that. Total of my order goes up, and everything is pretty much copacetic from here, and you have a really nice remote order to work with. Now that we have this remote order that's sitting here, we can do some pretty cool stuff with it. I mentioned these contacts over here, so let's go add a couple of contacts. I'm going to add just this guy, and I'm going to add, this guy right here. And what you do with the contacts from the Web Connect system, if you want to, you can generate what we call a pre-quote or a pre-order email. What that allows you to do is send a confirmation of this thing out to someone before it ever hits P21. So I can go over here to my form, and I could select any of these contacts that I want to from 123 Warehousing. It automatically adds me as someone to be emailed, and that's whoever the current user is logged into the system using the form. If I were logged into the sales rep, this would actually be the sales rep's email address. It's also got a place on here where we predefine who a back office email address is, and we can include that person in the remote order email as well if we want to. So I hit the send button. Yeah, I need to add a subject to this remote order email. So I'll just put in here something like, this is a test email. And then down here I'm going to put a little bit of text. This is kind of like a description that will go in the header of the email. Hi, Bob. These are the items that you have requested. ... Okay. Then I'm going to hit the send email button. It'll tell me that the mail is sent. I'm going to go ahead and show you what that email looks like. I've actually got SMTP turned off right now, but I can view the email as a file. It's actually, we can set this up in your environment too for a pickup directory for the emails that go out. So here's should be the email that I just created. So, hi Bob, these are the items that you have requested, and here's the subject of here. This is a test email. It's got the name of my company that pulls from P21 with all the address information that are in P21 as well. It tells me this is a pre-quote. It's in working status, which means it hasn't been sent to P21 yet. It tells me what my remote order number is, who placed it, what date we were working on it, who the ship to is, it doesn't have a PO number, and here are all the items on that remote order that come to the same 35, 344, 62. So it's a great way to rapidly be able to send out these pre-quotes even before they go into P21. Another cool feature of the remote order system on the remote order form is the ability to associate a remote order with a live P21 opportunity. So if I go over here to my Opportunities tab, I can actually go out here and search for any opportunities that are in P21. So let's just grab one at random here, this guy right here, and add it in. And now this guy will be associated with the opportunity in the Web Connect system. Grab this guy right here too. Okay, cool. So that's kind of in a nutshell how the remote order form works as the big portion of it. Another way that you might go about creating a remote order is something that's new in this release. It's the order pad, and it's basically a lot like the B2B order pad that you would see, with a couple of slight differences here. The first one is that I do need to go ahead and select a customer. So in this case, I'm going to go out and search for one. Let's go for legit, and it contains, and legitimate businessman's club. Select a ship to, and at this point I can go ahead and just start typing items in freeform. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and just add an item that I know is here, PAQ-6, and put in a quantity of 3 or 43, whichever one I want, and tab, 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 and repeat the process if I want to. Another way I could do this, though, if any of you guys are wanting to use scanners, and I know some people use scanners with the B2B system right now, if I want, I can actually make this a much faster process by turning off the quantity the quantity, so we aren't going to actually put a quantity in. And instead, I'm just going to, Doug here has a scanner with him, and it's hooked up to the laptop, but you can do it Bluetooth through a lot of different devices. And he's going to start scanning some items. So he scanned once, scan, 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 scan. So he's got several items that are sitting here right now. We double scanned in this box, I think on purpose. So now if I want to, I can go ahead and try to send this to an order. So when I try to add this item to a remote order, it's going to tell me we got some validation issues. The first one, this item right here, is a fake barcode. There's really no item like this. This one down here actually has a couple of double scans in it, so it's not a valid item. So at this point, I can clear this item out, and then go ahead and add to the remote order right now. When I do that, let's see if it'll go ahead and pass validation. Yeah. So now I have a brand new remote order with all those items on it. Didn't set up quantities while I was scanning. If you wanted to, you could optionally do that as well. But from this point, I can go ahead and edit quantities if I want to. And if I want to change the unit of measures, I can. And save and go. And so you have another very rapid way in order to go about creating a remote order. I'm going to show you real quick something where this is what you would do once the remote order is ready to go. You might want to go ahead and send this into P21. It's a very simple process to do that. All you really do is you hit the confirm button. And yeah, it's going to ask you, do you want to go ahead and send this into the P21 system? Say OK. Oh, and we got an error message right here. And here's our error message. It says, this order requires a PO. That's because the Legitimate Businessman's Club requires a PO within P21. So the Web Connect system is smart enough to go out and check to see if this specific customer requires a PO. If they do, we'll have to add something in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go ahead and confirm again at this point. If I wanted to, I could delete from here, but I am not going to. I'm just going to go ahead and confirm it. It now passes validation, and I have a new exported remote order. Talked a little bit about some of the permissions that go along with the remote order form. So I wanted to show you that real quick. I'm going to edit myself. I'm logged in as the admin user, so this is me right here. You can see I'm online because my cool little light bulb is all set up, and I'm all lit up. So let me go into editing myself. This is where you would edit a user's permission. Depending upon the role that the user is logged in, you'll see different types of permission for each user. For me right now, I've got some things that I can assign. For instance, this is my internal P21 user login name. You need that in order to be able to do things like create tasks and prospects where we're going to pass a valid P21 username into the P21 system. I can turn my system admin rights off if I want to, so it's possible actually to create an administrative user that's an executive that you don't want necessarily to be able to edit user settings. We can do things like turn on or off a user's ability to create contacts and edit addresses or create prospects. But over here are remote order permissions. So there are two sets of them actually. There's some for the quick order system, which we haven't quite got to yet, that allow us to do things like turn on or off the ability to show quantity available on a quick order, to turn on or off pricing on a quick order. That comes in handy when you have a customer out there that you want to show the quick order forms to. but you don't necessarily want it recalculating pricing and showing it to them every time they load a quick order form. A few other quick order settings, including form types, which I'll show you what the difference is between a quick order form and a requisition form here in a few minutes. And down here are my remote order form settings. And these are really kind of cool. If I want to, I can turn off my own ability to change pricing. And if I want to, I can default all of my remote orders to quote, and I can turn off my ability to change that quote setting. So at this point, every remote order that I create is going to be a quote and would be imported into P21 that exact way. If I want to, I can turn on the approved button and turn off my ability to change whether or not that order is going to be approved when it comes into P21. So I can also change that the other way, so I can say, hey, I do not want these guys to be approved, and I also do not want the user to be able to change that approved setting. So what that means is that the user can now create nothing but quotes that are unapproved. If I want to, I can turn off the ability to even confirm the remote order. That means they can go create the remote order all day long, but they would have to have a manager's or someone else's approval that has visibility to that remote order before it even gets sent to P21. And that way you can set up a little more workflow, a little more control. You can then set a second layer of validation back within the P21 system for someone to take a look at the order one more time before it actually goes out to the customer. It all depends on how much control you want to grant your outside sales staff versus how much control you want to have of the system inside. I can even turn off the ability for the sales rep to change the ship-to address on the remote order, and I can even turn off their ability to select the carrier. That means when the order comes into P21, it selects the default carrier, and the sales rep can't make every one of their orders come into P21 as a FedEx order. So I've changed a bunch of my settings here. I'm going to turn off that default to quote, but I am going to allow quote to order settings. And now I'm going to go back and look at our remote order form one more time. So I go to the remote order form, and you'll notice that I can no longer change my import approved at all. And for some reason, I can't change quote. I must not have got that button selected for some reason. Oh, that's because I haven't started the order. So I start a new order. And there we go. I can change the quote. I can change the approved setting. If I go over to the ship to, looks like I can change some settings there. I can add delivery instructions, but I've pretty much locked down the form in a lot of different ways. So I'll go back to my manage remote orders, and I can see all the orders that I have sitting out here. The manage remote orders screen is kind of the central hub to where a person in either the back office or even the sales rep or a customer can have visibility to all the remote orders that are working for them right now. So they can see where they are in their status, and you can open any of the ones that already exist back up a second time if you want to. The final portion, and wow, I've kind of gone long, I apologize about that, of the WebConnect remote order system is actually the quick order system. The quick order system is where a lot of people really swear by it. They use the heck out of it in order to implement a VMI type of approach. And what a quick order is it's basically a saved, stored set of order items that a customer will order on a consistent basis. So they order these things over and over and over again, and they're usually at a specific spot at a customer's location. So if you're going to run routes and you're going out to one of their warehouses or something like that, you'll find these items in the same spot every time, and perhaps it's your job to go ahead and make sure they always have these things on hand. And maybe your sales rep's doing that, or maybe you turn these quick order forms over to your customer, and the customer basically self-services their own VMI. So here's what a quick order form looks like. I'll go ahead and edit one real quick. And this is a very simple one. I've seen them with hundreds of items on here, by the way. So this one, I basically have one form with, it looks like, about 8 or 10 items on here that are split into separate order areas. So in this case, I've got 2 order areas for this quick order form. It's called shelf, but you can also think of it as an area. So the first section is new shelf, and the second area is consumables. So maybe you want to split one of these forms up into, I'm thinking 3 of them right now, paint, polishes, cleaners, something like that. You could split the quick order form up like that. When I create the form, I can do some fun things like store a PO number with this. So if you've got a blanket PO number, you can add that to it. If everything coming on this quick order is going to be from a contract, I could add the contract in here if I want to. To add items to the quick order form, I can either go back over here to contracts. Well, it doesn't look like they have any contracts. Or I can go to item order history, kind of like we did with the remote order. I'm not going to put a quantity in because we're just basically setting up a template. But I can just go select a few items, select a shelf or an area, whatever you want to call it, for the form, add the selected items. It's going to tell me it added the 3 items. When I go back to the form, those 3 items are there. If I need to add new shelves, I can do that over here. So I'm going to call its new shelf paint, and I'm going to make it sort order of 3. So add that shelf. I'm going to add another shelf down here of old cleaners and put that as shelf 4 or 5. It doesn't really matter, sort order. And then go back to the general tab. The shelves don't show up yet, but I can go back from add from order history or add from template. So I need to show you what a template is here in just a second. And I go find a template. So here's a bunch of items from a template right now. So if I want to just select things off of shelf 3, I can add those selected items to one of my shelves, which I'm going to add it to cleaners. And it's going to think about it and go over here and do that. And so now I see I have a couple of new items added to my cleaner sections of the form. I can make this be a quick order form, which when an end user uses the form, it's going to send the items that they order directly into P21. Another thing that I can do with this form is I can make it a requisition-only form. And what a requisition-only form is basically is it is a form that does not place a live order in P21. Instead, it just notifies someone that someone in your customer site wants something or some things off of this form. So we can say who we're going to requisition this from. We're going to say purchasing for a customer, and then and go this way. And if we save these settings, then this form will not generate a live order at all. It's basically just going to send out an email. The idea being that the person that uses the quick order form when they send this requisition through would then end up with sending out an email to someone that's actually going to place a live order either through a quick order form to your back office, or maybe they pick up the phone, maybe they send a fax, whatever their normal ordering channels are. This is just a way to notify them that this is what's happening. I'm going to turn this back into an actual order form, so it's actually now a live quick order. Go back and save the settings, and I'm going to show you what this quick order form actually looks like. To get there, let's go back to Manage Quick Order Forms. I've been working on this one for the Legitimate Businessmen's Club, so I'll actually go to Use the Form at this point. So here are the items on the form. And all I have to do in order to use this, so I'm out in the warehouse and I'm going through these shelves and I'm over at shelf 1, is say, I want 3 of these, I want 5 of these, or 4 of those, I want 5 of these things right here. And then go to my, after I figured out everything that I want, I hit my next button. It takes me to a confirmation screen where I can add in a PO number if I want to. I can add an order note if I want to. I can do all those types of things. I can edit these items. Now that I've added them to the form, I can delete these items before they actually go into P21. So for right now, I'm just going to go back and show you what that looks like in the Manage Remote Order screen. We can see we have a new quick order that's sitting out here for the Legitimate Businessmen's Club. It's in pending status, which means it hasn't been confirmed. So it hasn't been sent to P21 yet. At this point, I can still go open it back up. I can confirm it if I want to from here. Another cool thing I can do, if I'm a sales rep or a sales manager or an admin and I want even more control over this quick order before it goes into P21, I can go edit it back in the full remote order form one more time. So I can at this point go into and I can do things like add the delivery instructions into the item. I can do things like I can already add customer notes, but I could associate this quick order even with a P21 opportunity. So a lot of flexibility and power even when you're coming from a quick order form. One more quick thing I didn't show on the quick order forms or probably didn't explain was if you're editing one of these things, there are a couple of fields over here that are kind of useful. One of them is a min-max. So let's say you're setting this form up and someone's going to go run a route and they're checking these shelves or locations within a warehouse. You can set up the minimum quantity that they should have and the maximum quantity that they should have. So that way, as you're going through and you're checking the inventory, and they're at 1 and their min is at 3, you can basically make sure that they get back up to their min or max, however you got your business rules set up for there. Another kind of interesting feature that you can do with an item on a quick order form that some people find useful is you can set up a default quantity. So if I set up a default quantity of 5, that means that every time I load this quick order form to use and actually send an order into P21 or a requisition, it's going to already say, here's the default quantity we think you should order every time. A final thing that you can do, and this is very uncommon, but some people do, is they say that every time this order form gets used, they have to order this item. So we can make the order a mandatory item, and we can say it's got a default quantity of 5 on here. So now anytime anyone uses this quick order form, it's going to automatically add this item to the order, and it's going to go through and no one has to check anything and no one can opt out of that item at that point. So that's the quick order system. I thought I would take just one more quick second and show you what that system, I'm logged in as an admin, so the whole system as we've been looking at it so far has been from an admin's perspective. But I wanted to show you that it's pretty much the same when you go log in as a sales rep. So I've got a sales rep, Clint Eastwood, created here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you how to go ahead and create a new sales rep while we're here. So I'd go create a new sales rep account. All I do is I go pick it from any of the sales reps that are in the P21 system. I'm going to pick Clint Eastwood again, and I'm going to click this button to create a new login for him. And so it defaults to Clint Eastwood. It asks me the next button. So I create, I need to add an email address. So I say clint3@webconnect.com. Username, I'm going to make up one, Clint3, and the password. Right now I'm just going to default it to password, confirm the password, and we're going to create the new sales rep user. Takes me straight to their edit user screen so we can start setting up their settings. Right now I'm going to associate him with the user Clint in P21. I'm going to allow for contact. I'm going to allow for address edits. I'm going to allow for prospect creation. This is kind of a cool thing right here. If you want to, you can allow your sales reps to create customer logins within the system for customers that are assigned to them in the P21 system at the Ship To level. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on for my cool little brand new sales rep right now. And I'm going to go ahead and set some of their quick order permissions, turn some of these things on. Oh, this is a neat field right here. Require a PO number. If that is checked for one of your users in the system, even if the customer's account does not require a PO number, if they try to create a quick order or a remote order for that customer, WebConnect will require a PO number for them. Just one more added benefit of workflow there is that if they're in the P21 system and you can let them go ahead and create a remote order, or I'm sorry, a P21 order that doesn't require them a PO, within WebConnect you can still enforce that you want a PO to come through. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and let our sales rep see pricing and just pretty much turn the thing wide open for our guy, give him all form types, let him do price changes. We're not going to default anything to anything. Okay, so there we go. So we've got everything set. One more quick thing you can do is you can turn on or off their main menus. I think I'm going to leave all their menus on at this time just for the sake of demonstration. So now I can go back to my Manage User screen, go find Clint3. Here's our brand new sales rep, and I'm going to click my handy button to impersonate my sales rep. I don't have to know my sales rep's password. He could have changed it 5 times. Doesn't matter to me. I can click this button, and the WebConnect system will let me log in as Clint. So this is all of Clint Eastwood's sales data from the existing customers that are set up to him by Ship To in the P21 system right now. This is daily quotes, daily orders, daily invoice summary. Hadn't done much today, it looks like. Here's Clint's specific opportunities that are assigned to him within P21. I can go ahead and factor success probability for him if I want to, see what that stuff looks like. I can do pretty much everything you just saw me do as an admin, only all of the information is now filtered just for Clint. So if I want to, I can go over here and go to my order listing, go to order history, and see I've got one order for Carrie's Candy sitting here. I can go back to that order detail if I want to, and see, oh yeah, here's a couple items that I've got back orders on. I can go pop it up, see what you have got. Here's the back order right here if I want to. Very good. Now let me go to my Manage Remote Orders. So Clint has one customer, Monarch Playing Cards, that has a remote order available for him, and probably under a different login I created this remote order for Clint. I can now go open up that order if I want to, and I can see all the information that's sitting right here. I've got some serious profit issues with these items. So if Clint wanted to, he could go through and make some adjustments to pricing, and I think I would if I were Clint, because I wouldn't want to sell at a loss, because more than likely I get compensated based on profit. So I would go through here and make some changes. But as you can see, you know, they've got pretty much all of the tools that an administrator would have. You can lock them down as you see fit. You can do all the stuff. If he wants to send out an email, notice that if he wants to send it to himself, it's to this brand new fictitious email we just created, clint3@webconnect.com, so he can send it to himself right on down the line. So that, in a nutshell, is how the WebConnect remote ordering system works. I know we went pretty fast on this stuff, and we're rounding up to 2 o'clock. Cheryl, do you know if we have any questions out there or anything that I need to address at this point? There's still about 3 or 4 minutes left in the hour.
We do have some questions, but Doug just has a couple of comments he wanted to just make before we jump in.
Okay, go ahead, Doug.
Sure, yeah. I just wanted to mention that, as Andy said, we tend to go through these fairly quickly, so if anyone wants a more in-depth look at any time, just contact us for a personal demo. We also have a demo site. We can set accounts up for folks who want to cruise through the system on their own. And we also have an option of setting up a free trial in your environment. Sometimes people like to see their own, more realistic data running in the context of WebConnect, so that's an option. And the last thing I wanted to mention is for user group members, we do currently have a promotion going on through May 15th of 50% off the installation and configuration costs. Thanks.
Very good. So, Cheryl, tell me your questions.
Okay, the first one's more for me, so I'll just address that right off the top. The session has been recorded. The recording will be made available tomorrow. If you want a copy of the recording, just send me an email and I'll get that to you. Otherwise, just keep an eye on the user group forum. And gentlemen, are you good to send me a copy of your slides after the session today so I can post those as well?
You bet.
Okay, so the first question is, does this work with all browsers or just certain browsers?
It works with all browsers. I tend to recommend Chrome, Firefox, or Safari. Those of you that are kind of browser gurus out there probably have the same angst that I do about Internet Explorer. The latest, greatest version of Internet Explorer is great, or better. I won't say great, but I would recommend one of the Chrome, Safari, Firefox browsers. But I'd recommend that for anything, to be honest with you. That's just a personal preference.
Next question, Andy. Can you tweak the order screen to hide things like cost and profit?
Yes, you can actually. There's some global settings that can be made within the system to turn those off. Yes, you definitely can do that. Yeah, I'd love to be able to ask the question back. Is that something where we're trying to hide that from sales reps for specific sales reps, or is that a global setting? But if the user will please call me and ask me about that, I'd get some more information. That'd be great.
Another question, gentlemen. If I put this into a customer's hands, how can I prevent them from searching other customers?
Yeah, they can't. When you create a customer account, the WebConnect system actually on each user login that's put into the system stores the master customer ID with them. So all of the data at that point for the entire system is filtered for the specific customer. In fact, I could probably log out and log in as a customer. That might have been better than logging in as a sales rep. But yeah, they don't even have the option of selecting customers anywhere within the system. If it's even got a place where in the rest of the system that it would look for a customer ID, usually it even hides the customer selector for them, so they couldn't even see that it ever existed. So if I go over here and log in as a customer, you'll see what I mean. there's no place for them to select that information. All this information is just for Allied Biscuit. Even if I go back to the order history screen right here, I mean, they can filter by their ship tos, but there's no place for them to even search for another customer.
Another question. Did you mention at the beginning, so this would be in the first half hour, a saved list? Is it like a shopping list in B2B? Does that exist, and can it be used for orders?
Yes, that's pretty much what the quick order system is, and you can create as many of those as you want to for each ship to for a customer that's out there. And we've got some clients that literally do hundreds of those orders a day. I've got one client that's his primary mode of doing business with his clients right now is to use those quick order forms, which are essentially saved shopping carts, so to speak. And all you have to do is enter in a quantity and go. Very easy to use.
Now, Andy, are you able to force a quick order to pull from a specific?
I lost you, Cheryl.
Sorry, can you force a quick order to pull from a specific warehouse?
I can't at this point. It's going to pull from the default sales location for the customer. So it goes and looks in P21 by the ship to what the default source location is, and that's where it happens. So when the order comes back into P21, at that point you can adjust the source locations as needed or do transfers there. But from within the Web Connect environment at this time, no, we don't have it at a per line basis or a line item basis for the source location or the header basis.
Another question, Andy. Is Web Connect supported with the base Profit 21 system, or what other modules from Epicor are needed?
I can tell you it's the base system. There's nothing else out of the P21. There are no add-ons that you need at all within the P21 environment. I got some clients that have absolutely got the base system out there.
We're kind of running out of time, but I still have several questions. So what we could do is just push through a couple more questions and go to about 5-10 after. And then any extra questions we have left, maybe I can email them to you, and you might be able to do some responses, and I can post them to the group.
That'd be great. Give me the easy ones now so I have time to think on the harder ones.
Yeah. Well, you know what? One I do want you to do, because this is something we can do right now, is can you show the executive screen?
Yeah, sure. Basically, that's the very first screen we started with. So if I sign out here, all of the screens pretty much look the same for all the different roles. So if I log in back with my admin account, this is what an executive user that's also set up as an administrator would see. If I want to, I can go manage users real quick, and I can find admin 2 that's also an administrator. If I want, I can then edit this user to turn off some menus. So let's kill the user management menu for this guy. And I go back to the manage user screen and find admin 2 again. I'll log in as them. So this is admin 2. They no longer have the ability to edit users, but the screen pretty much looks the same as the other screen before. What? Go ahead, Doug.
Oh, I was just going to add, you know, from an executive view, sometimes cleaner and more concise is better. So, you know, the dashboard, as Andy mentioned, is fully customizable, and so you can tailor it to the particular user and what they're going after.
Sure. So, you know, if this particular executive or admin wants to change things, maybe they want to see a chart of aged receivables and gross profit percents and stuff like that, they can go add those to the system, and just basically clicking a button, close, and now these things are on their dashboard. If they want to move them around, they can. And there are some other move over there, darn you. There are some other views of data as well. For instance, if we go into here's kind of a neat view, the product group category drill down. I mean, this is I didn't get into touching this at all, but basically you can group all of your product groups in the P21 system into categories, and then show sales over time with it. You can then filter that by customer, ship to, sales rep, a lot of different things like that. So there are a lot of neat views in the system that give all levels of users within the system a great view of what's going on at the executive level all the way through the customer or sales rep level.
Now, our last question that we have.
Cheryl?
Yeah, we'll do our last one for now, and then the rest I'll send you by email. I don't know if you have your contact information. You can just pop up on the screen while I ask you this one. Our last question is, what are the server hardware requirements for installation?
You know, we've got people using a bunch of different configurations out there. Obviously, if you've got a pretty nice server, it's going to be better. I need to check with one of my clients to figure out what they're running that I really like their system performance. I can tell you that I would prefer IIS-7. It will run on IIS-6. I've had people that have tested the system even on an old XP box. Oh, and by the way, Happy XP is no longer supported, Dave. For all of you that didn't know, April the 8th, today is no longer XP support day. But yes, it'll run on a variety of environments, and it runs very, very well. It actually runs faster on most people's deployed system than it's running off of my demo system right now.
Well, thank you.
What was it, like either 8 gig of RAM? Yeah, go ahead, Cheryl.
I was just saying thank you so much for doing this today. For those of you who didn't get a chance to jot down the contact information, just shoot me an email because I'm online with these guys all the time and I can get you in touch. There are a bunch of questions we did not get to, so I will send those to Doug and Andy later today, and they will respond back, and I'll distribute that to everyone who's on the call today and then post it up on the forum, as well as the slides that they're going to send me after the session today. Gentlemen, I can't thank you enough. I think you were probably one of the first people that signed up for Connect this fall, and I thank you so much for your support in doing this session for us. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, we appreciate all you guys do, and to keep up the great work. We can't wait to see everyone out at Connect this year. And thanks again for everyone for attending. And we'll see you, some of you, out at Insights. I know I'll see you there, Cheryl. So
yes.
talk to you all later. Thanks,
all right.
Cheryl.
Thank you. Bye for now.